Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones. Purdue continues to play at a really high level, cruising past Rutgers late and crushing Nebraska to improve to 5-1 in Big Ten play, 13-4 on the season. I will go through some more takeaways from another really strong week from Purdue before looking ahead to Purdue's West Coast adventure this week and answering your questions. If you don't already, be sure to follow the show on Twitter at BoilersBeyond. There's a lot to talk about. We're tweeting through every game. We're tweeting pretty much every day on there. Come join the conversation. You can always send over questions for the show there on Twitter at BoilersBeyond, or you can email the show boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll be here every week between now and the end of the season, plus going into the summer. They're pretty good. Another good week for Purdue. Purdue's now won 5 games in a row. Purdue has won all 4 of its Big Ten games since Big Ten play kind of reopened at the new year. 68-50 over Rutgers, 104-68 over Nebraska. It's completely valid to point out that this hasn't been against the best competition in the league. That is a very important thing to note. It is very relevant. Purdue has been favored in all of these games, although that Rutgers game was only like a 2-point spread or so, and Purdue really was clearly the better team in that game. If you want to win the Big Ten, all of those games needed to be wins. You needed to go and beat a bad Minnesota team. You don't really lose at home and win the Big Ten. So you beat Northwestern, you beat Nebraska, teams that you're better than on a neutral, and you get them at home. You got to win those games. And you go to Rutgers, that's looking like a bottom 5 team in the league. That's, they're wrapping up against UCLA right now as I record this. If they hold on, that's a big win to help them try to stay out of the missing the Big Ten tournament conversation. It's not a good Rutgers team. So these weren't the best opponents out there, but it's not just that Purdue is winning these games, it's how Purdue is winning them. Purdue wins all 4 games by 18-plus points. It's the first time in school history Purdue has won 4 Big Ten games in a row by 18-plus. That's really hard to do in the Big Ten historically. It's not easy to do in the Big Ten now. What's been really interesting to see is Purdue's defense doing a really nice job. When you look at this stretch, Purdue has done a fantastic job limiting opposing star players. Dawson Garcia got his 20, but it was inefficient. Martinelli and Barnheiser had more shot attempts than points. This week, Ace Bailey goes 5 for 15 from the field. I think he had 17 points, but if he needs 15 shots to do it, you're going to take that. Dylan Harper seemed sick still in that game, so I don't know that it's super fair to go through big takeaways from him. Bryce Williams has just 9 points for Nebraska, 2 of those coming off technical foul free throws. Purdue is largely doing this, too, because the sum is greater than the parts on defense for it. This team doesn't have a shutdown individual defender that's going to compete for Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year or anything, but it's doing a really good job at containing the opposition. Caleb First has been a huge part of this. It feels like he's been everywhere around the basket. He's done a really good job doing whatever Purdue needs him to do. You saw him, matched up against Ace Bailey, getting far away from the basket, but also getting to a point where he's making a difference around the rim. He's been a really, really active player at being wherever Purdue needs him to be. And it's not a classic shot blocking rim protector that Caleb First is giving Purdue right now, but he's doing a better job at keeping opponents from getting easy layups. Early on, that was a problem. Like that Yale game, that Corpus Christi game, that was a big problem then. Not a problem now. I shouldn't say not a problem now, but not a major problem right now. It can still be exploited. That's some of these defensive deficiencies can't be completely just washed away if you're Purdue. You can improve, you can't be perfect. Schematically, this defense isn't really designed to force turnovers. It's designed to force tough shots. It's designed to force favorable shots so that the opponent is taking shots that you want it to take. Where if an open three-point shooter's getting it, it's the guy you want taking those shots. And if he makes it, he makes it. But right now, Purdue's doing both. Purdue has had really active hands around the ball. And I don't have data to back this up, but just watching Purdue, I can't remember the last time Purdue has been this active forcing steals. You're going back a decade plus maybe, to when Purdue was really this effective at forcing takeaways, at forcing steals. Purdue has done a great job at forcing opponents to make tough, if not impossible, passes. You look at these games, teams aren't getting offense easily against Purdue. The second halves of Northwestern and Nebraska were more or less garbage time. Purdue was up so big early in those games that you didn't have a ton to worry about. I mean, you're playing conservative defense, just, kind of to burn clock to get out of there. Rutgers manages just 50 points on Purdue. Again, it's not a great Rutgers team, but Purdue was awesome defensively in that game. Purdue did a great job. Purdue did a tremendous job early on in Nebraska. Nebraska finishes with 68 points. That's irrelevant to this conversation. Purdue was fantastic early on in that game. Nebraska got nothing easily, and it got to the point where it didn't feel like Nebraska wanted to fight to try to claw its way all the way back. It couldn't have. It wasn't going to with the way Purdue was shooting. But Purdue was tremendous early on on the defensive end. Right now, and this is only 6 games into Big Ten play, Purdue has not faced really any of the top teams, but Purdue's number 3 in the conference in Big Ten games in adjusted defensive efficiency on KenPom. And that, of course, the adjusted factors in for who you're playing. That's really good. That's something that early on this year, it didn't look like Purdue was going to get to that point. It's been really encouraging to see Purdue step up on the defensive end of the floor. Its guards have done a really good job at limiting the amount of times they get beat off the bounce. Purdue's done a better job of helping on the back end and forcing difficult passes out of that help. It's been an all-around effort. There's no Chris Kramer. There's no Rafael Davis. There's no Nogel Eastern that's out there as a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year type. That's not on this roster. There's not a Zach Edey that's a rim protector that makes you really worry when you're going to try to make a play at the rim against Purdue. That doesn't exist. But everything else, Purdue's done a great job here. On the offensive side, Purdue really seems to be hitting its stride. You look at what Purdue's done recently, 81 against Minnesota, 79 against Northwestern. Again, kind of garbage time late in that one. 68 against Rutgers when, man, if you shot so poorly. And then 104 against Nebraska. Braden Smith is just wheeling and dealing on a different level right now. 28 assists in 1 week is out of this world. This is as dialed in as it gets. He's still scoring really effectively. The 8 points against Nebraska, that was his lowest output in a while. He has just been remarkably good. 16, 22, 20, 34. He's been a machine for Purdue. He's been really, really good. This is first-team All-American type of stuff. He's averaging 15, 5, and 9. He is in complete control of the offense in a way you don't see in the college game. You don't see assist numbers like this in college basketball. I saw the tweet going around last week, and I think I quote tweeted it, that I guess if Braden Smith continues at the pace he's playing at this year into next season, that he's on pace to break the NCAA all-time assist record, or really push for it. Currently belongs to Bobby Hurley. I don't know how true. I'm not going to do the math on it, how realistic it is, but I mean, this is a special player. This is the type of guy that doesn't happen. This isn't normal college point guard stuff. Like I know, Brian Newbert was talking about this in one of his videos. I mean, when's the last time Purdue had anyone have 10 assists in a game? This isn't something that happens. And now Purdue running so much motion historically doesn't really lend itself to one guy getting a boatload of assists. But, I mean, it just doesn't happen. And this is just normal for Braden Smith. 14 assists in both games this week. Crazy. Purdue's getting the ball out in transition a little more, and he's setting guys up really, really well. That Rutgers game, he has an alley-oop to Cam Heide. He has a really pretty transition pass to Fletcher Lawyer for a layup. I think he had another one to Cam Heide for a layup. In the Nebraska game, he has the two alley-oops that get reverse slammed by Heide and Colvin. This is Purdue getting out and running when it can a little bit, and it's been really effective. It's something that you haven't seen a ton from Purdue historically, but Braden Smith is so in charge right now that you're letting him do whatever he wants. You're letting your team live and die with him. He's going to have the all-time assist record at Purdue by March. That's of his junior season. This is unlike anything you really see. And I know it's becoming really redundant to talk about Braden Smith. He's joining Zach Edey. He's joining Carson Edwards. He's joining Jaden Ivey a little bit in the conversation of there's just not that much more to say. But he's tremendous. He's better than those guys except Zach Edey. I mean, he is just unbelievable, out of this world right now. You see how good Trey Kaufman-Renn is, and you see how important it is that he stay on the floor. Early on in the Nebraska game, he has 13 points. He plays a huge role in that game getting blown open. That little floater shot in the short post, almost impossible to guard. And he's really good at making that. That's not an easy shot, but he's knocking it down with ease. And that's something that threw Nebraska into a blender, because it really makes you think about where you're positioned in the post. You have to respect him in the short roll, and you saw Purdue's guards get to the rim a couple times because of that. When he was actually on the floor against Rutgers big guys had no chance at stopping him. Of course, this all comes with the caveat that he has to stay on the floor. It's been an issue at times this year. When Purdue gets into its bigger games, when you look at Oregon on Saturday, when you look at going to Illinois, when you look at going to Breslin, when you play Michigan twice, when you play Indiana, Trey Kaufman-Renn has to be out there for you. He's too good to not be on the court. Right now, KenPom has him at number 2 on his All-Big Ten team, only behind Braden Smith. Kaufman-Renn is shooting 61% from the floor, 17.5 points a game. I mean, he's been awesome. He has been absolutely awesome. Raleigh Burgess has stepped up admirably when Trey Kaufman-Renn has gotten in foul trouble. Caleb Furst has been really good. It's been really well documented. He's been awesome. But Purdue has to have Kaufman-Renn on the floor. He's making great decisions with the ball. 7 assists to no turnovers against Nebraska is really something. That's a program that's historically thrown everything at Purdue's big guys. They did a great job against Zach Edey last year. And 2 years ago, really, when they played in that overtime game up there. Fletcher Lawyer was big there. Zach, they were able to throw so much at Zach Edey, but Trey Kaufman-Renn wasn't fazed in any way by what Nebraska did. He handled it really well. He's becoming a really, really big time player. And a lot of these fouls they're not big fouls. I mean, they're cheapies. They're not real big, physical fouls. It's just, I don't know. It can't be, these fouls can't be a factor. There aren't that many teams out there that can match Purdue's top 3 players. And when you have them out there, boy, I mean, you have an elite point guard with an elite pick and roll partner in Trey Kaufman-Renn. Both of them are great at passing out of that to one of the best shooters in America. I'm not going to dive into the whole Fletcher Lawyer vitriol that we saw all summer, but I mean, the guy's shooting 49% from 3 right now. He's been terrific. There aren't teams out there with a better third scorer than Purdue has. When you have that dynamic, along with Caleb First in the front court playing a good role for you, along with some guys who can knock down some threes and give you good minutes at the guard spot, man, you're looking really good. But that's relying on having Trey Kaufman-Renn out there. And he's just got to find a way to avoid foul trouble. And it's not always easy when I don't want to say he's undersized, because he's not. He's a very big human being, but he's not a 7-footer. Purdue doesn't have 7-footers on the glass. He's really got to battle down there. CJ Cox was the story from that Nebraska win, rightfully so. 23 points on 11 shots. That is peak efficiency. He's got it, man. You just watch his game and he has the it factor. This was an absolute recruiting steal for Purdue. I don't get how no one picked up on this guy. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Recruiting's different these days. There are a lot of programs that aren't all that interested in high school kids that aren't ranked in like the top 50, top 100. But how does nobody see him? I just don't get it. He can really score. He's comfortable as a scorer, not just a shooter, but he's comfortable with the ball in his hands and in the mid-range. And you see him had a nice little reverse layup kind of transition, I think it was. He's really good. There's so much to like about him. He's competitive on defense. He's not, some elite defender at this point, but the signs are there. You look at him and Jakari Harris, that could be a really good defensive duo in your backcourt. I said this last week about Cox, and I really believe this. Purdue's not going to get his best until after Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer depart. Those two command so much bandwidth that it's hard for regular scoring opportunities to come someone else's way in the backcourt. But right now, he's playing his role really, really well. He can have the outburst like you saw against Nebraska, like you saw against Alabama. But, he can handle the ball. He moves the ball. He doesn't take bad shots. I mean, right now, he's taking good looks. In the Nebraska game, of those 11 shots, I mean, were any of them bad shots? I remember one was at the end of the shot clock. I don't remember how good of a shot it was, but he's taking good looks. He's handling the game really well for a freshman, and that doesn't happen often. And as he becomes a more featured player in your offense, boy, someone who can really utilize all 3 levels and who has some burst with the ball in his hands, there's encouraging stuff right there. He's got a good mid-range. Matt Painter said he wants to see it more. I mean, right now, Purdue has moved to this starting lineup, and, Matt Painter is not one who moves around the starting lineup a lot, but this is a really, really nice pairing that Purdue's got right now. It isn't something where they have to play with those 5 because you're getting good production from your bench. But, man, I mean, this is really good stuff from Purdue. It's won in some different ways. You saw in that Minnesota game where Purdue just couldn't make a three early on in that game. Purdue wasn't making shots, but it really, continues to stick in there, and it ultimately runs away with it. Against Rutgers, Purdue doesn't shoot well at all in the whole game. Just 4 for 24 from three, but Purdue only turns the ball over 8 times. It won the effort battle. Rutgers is a type of program that it can't get out-efforted. It is always, up until this year, dealt with enough of a talent gap that it can't get out-efforted. This year you have the 2 5-stars, and that's going terribly, which isn't all that surprising. But, in that game, if Purdue shoots 9 for 24, you're turning into a 30-plus point game. Rutgers isn't exactly the most competitive group this year. That game's an absolute blowout if Purdue shoots remotely well. And in these 2 games at Mackey, Purdue's offense was just tremendous. 1.50 points per possession against Nebraska. That's insane. That is nuts. In Big Ten play, this is the best offense in the league per KenPom, number 9 offense in the nation, season long, and that includes a few of your games against some of the higher level opponents where you didn't score well. Purdue's found its way up to number 12 nationally at KenPom. It was like number 28 a few weeks ago. Purdue's really starting to hit its stride a little bit. It's playing well on both ends. And I keep coming back to Purdue's played some of the best teams it's going to play all year. Marquette is, let's look at KenPom here. Auburn's number 1. Marquette is number 11. Alabama's number 8. Purdue's played these teams already. Texas A&M's number 16. Wade Taylor's out right now. Purdue's played a lot of the best teams it's going to play. And sure, while, Illinois is going to be tough, and Michigan State's going to be tough, and Michigan and Oregon, Purdue's played the best teams on its schedule already. The best couple. The struggles were what they were. Purdue was kind of figuring some things out earlier on this year, I think. And that's okay. You'd love to have that Penn State game back. That's a hard one to explain, and those are the types of losses that do loom large in a Big Ten race. But nonetheless, Purdue's in a really good spot. It is kind of a real negative that Purdue has to play Michigan twice. KenPom has Michigan favored to win the conference at this point. You got a duo of 7-footers that can play together. That's a really tricky dynamic. Dusty May can really coach. He's a really good coach. That was a really good hire by Michigan. They're going to be in good shape because of him. But, Purdue is there with these guys. Purdue's not far off. On the flip side of that, you get Rutgers twice. I have no idea what Rutgers is going to look like come March, but I don't think there's a ton to love about what you're going to get from Rutgers in March. I don't want to say it's going to quit, but the writing could be on the wall there. It wouldn't exactly be shocking. Roster construction nightmare. That's all that is. If they're going to be out of NCAA tournament contention, I can't imagine they're going to be engaged. You get Oregon, you get Illinois, you get Michigan State. All of those are single plays, all on the road. For being honest here, the schedule doesn't exactly break Purdue's way, but there's nobody unbeatable on this schedule. The Big Ten's wide open. This is going to kind of be a sprint to the finish here, but lots to like about where Purdue's at. The new year is here, and there's no better time to make sure your insurance coverages are up to date. With inflation causing so much uncertainty in the world, you need to be certain that if worst comes to worst, you are taken care of. As an agent with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, I'm here to help. Give me a call at 317-846-5861 or email me, jordan.jones@infarmbureau.com, and we'll protect you from life's everyday risk. Purdue makes its first West Coast trip here as part of the new Big Ten arrangement. You're going to want to have some afternoon coffee on Wednesday because Purdue-Washington doesn't tip off until 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Washington's not a particularly great team, It's 1-5 in Big Ten play. It lost comfortably to both Michigan teams this past week. Danny Sprinkle's in year one there. He has some work to do. Purdue just saw him. Purdue saw Danny Sprinkle, and Purdue saw Great Osabar, the best player for Washington, in the round of 32 last year when they were at Utah State. As you may recall, Purdue thoroughly dominated that game. Great Osabar got a well-reported boatload of money, like in the $2 million neighborhood, to go to Washington. He's a good player, big guy, big player, averaging 14 and 8. He's asked to do a lot. Washington, is okay. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible team, but probably going to be not quite a 10-point spread, but up there. It doesn't shoot a ton of threes. It doesn't make a ton of threes. Not a particularly efficient offense. Bad free throw shooting team. But it's all right on the defensive end. It's really good at guarding the three-point line. We'll see if that's something that Purdue struggles to do there. It's a good test for Purdue. You got a good big. You haven't seen a ton of good big men this year so far. And that'll be a good test of what you're doing with Caleb First and Trey Kaufman-Renn. One of these games. It's not a big one on the surface, but if you can stack these wins, especially on the road, take care of business at home, get wins on the road, that's what wins you a conference title. Meanwhile, Saturday at Oregon, that's a big one. That's an NBC national broadcast game. Oregon's 4-2 in league play. Doesn't play again until Saturday, so they do have some prep time for Purdue. Some really nice wins on the resume. Oregon's beaten Alabama. Oregon's beaten Texas A&M. Dana Altman, very proven coach, very good coach. That's a big-time game. That's not an easy one. That's one where Ken Pom has Purdue losing by 1, has Purdue winning by 9 at Washington. You've got to be 1-1 coming home from this. Obviously, 0-2 would be a disaster. I don't see that happening. But the opportunity to go 2-0 is very real here. Illinois and Michigan both went undefeated on their West Coast trips. Michigan got the LA schools. Illinois got the Pacific Northwest schools. It can be done. If Purdue continues to be as efficient as it was over the past 2 weeks, I think it's going to come home with a pair of wins. If not, we'll see what happens. This is the first time Purdue's gone out to the Pacific Northwest since the PK 85 a couple years ago. That was when Purdue beat West Virginia, Gonzaga, and Duke to really announce itself as a legitimate team that year. One of the wildest weekends I can remember watching Purdue basketball. Just no one had any thought that team was going to go out there and win that, and it did. That 15 years from now, that's going to be a wild memory still. But big opportunity here. I don't know how much the travel will impact Purdue. I've always thought this. It's going to impact the West Coast schools a lot more when they have to come east 4 times than it does the Midwest schools going out there once. The timing's not perfect. Purdue was just in Piscataway and Minneapolis. Those are a couple of your longer Big Ten flights. They're not all that long of flights, but they are a couple of your longer Big Ten footprint flights. And now you go out there. We'll see. If Purdue comes out sharp and comes out to play well, it's going to be in good shape here. Q&A time. Got a few good ones here. Has your opinion on the ceiling for this Purdue team changed since the preseason and the first few weeks of the regular season? Not really. At the start of the year, I said that I felt a Big Ten title and a second weekend of the NCAA tournament was probably the ceiling. And I never expected the Big Ten race to be like some type of runaway the way it was the last 2 years. I don't like putting NCAA tournament ceilings on teams. I talk about that a lot. It's an event that encourages random outcomes that don't really reflect what we watched for 4 months. So I don't like saying that Purdue can't go farther than that because it obviously can. If you're in it, you can. Look at NC State. Look at Butler's teams. Look at VCU. Look at Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. I mean, sure. But, that seems about right. Purdue maybe in that 4 to 6, maybe up to a 3 to 6 seed range. That probably sounds right. And you just kind of see where it takes you. And that's the ceiling, mind you. It's very on the table that Purdue doesn't do either of those. But in pretty much every game Purdue goes into, it's going to have the best player, maybe the 2 best players, and it's going to have the better coach. And that means something. With Purdue winning the rebounding battle in 3 of the last 4, do you think the problem is fixed, or is it just a good stretch? I mean, I don't think the problem is completely fixed. Purdue is going to have its limitations on the glass. It doesn't have a single dominant rebounder, and that's an issue. Purdue doesn't have supreme height the way it has in the past, and that operates differently. I do think Trey Kaufman-Renn and Caleb Furst form a nice little duo there. I think that is part of why Purdue has won the rebounding battle. Furst is a really good athlete. Trey Kaufman-Renn's a heads-up player. Purdue's activity has just been really high. Purdue's playing really hard. And winning the effort battle is a big deal when it comes to rebounding. But again, the same perils exist. When you play a team like Michigan with 2 7-footers, I think you're worried there. There are some teams that worry you. Is someone like an Umar Ballo going to be a lot for you to handle? I think so. On the glass, there are good rebounders out there that are going to give Purdue problems, but Purdue has improved there without a doubt. And then finally, what do you attribute most to Purdue's recently improved defense, playing with more tenacity, weaker offensive opponents, Caleb Furst at the 5 to provide more balance, or something else? Look, I'm going to start with Caleb Furst being on the floor so much, and it's coupled with what he's giving Purdue. It's not that he's simply on the floor, but he's playing so hard. He's playing so well on that end. He's giving Purdue excellent effort right now. That's great. That's a huge part of this. I can't speak to what Purdue is doing in terms of game prep from a detail standpoint, but sometimes you can just watch a game and you can tell that a team is doing what it wants to do out there. And right now, that's what Purdue's doing. Watch Purdue on the defensive end. In these last 4 games, Purdue's following its assignments well. Purdue is doing what's being asked of it really well. The effort is there. You can see it, and it's from everybody. These are weaker offensive opponents, and that is part of it. Northwestern can do some good things on offense. Nebraska can be here and there, but Purdue has done a great job. If you ask me to pick one thing, I'd say it's the emergence of Caleb Furst, but there's a lot of praise to go around for Purdue on the defensive end because it's been really good, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here as Purdue faces a great Osabar with rebounding, as Purdue faces a team like Oregon that has some athletes, to see where Purdue stacks up, because you've got to really like these trends. And as matchups get a little different and you have a weird travel situation, we'll see how Purdue looks. But we're getting to the point here where if Purdue plays well, not a lot of teams are capable of beating it. And we'll see what Purdue does here. We'll be back next week, probably Monday. Probably have an episode for you on Monday after Purdue plays 2 on the West Coast. Best of luck to those of you on the East Coast staying up. It's 9:10 right now on Monday night, and I'm already kind of tired. Probably going to go lay in bed after this, and this game won't have even tipped off in 48 hours. So that'll be a doozy. Follow the show on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. We'll talk about all things Purdue, Washington, and everything else throughout the year. Send over your questions there or email them to me, boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We will talk next week, but until then, guys, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the games.